Official Throwback Weekend returns to Darlington Raceway. That's on September 3rd. You can cast your vote for your favorite throwback paint scheme at NASCAR.com/throwback. Vote daily. See who brings home this year's Best in Show trophy for Best Throwback Paint Scheme of the Year. We're taking a look at a few of those throwback paint schemes.
Bert and I have nightmares of that Ford credit card. I mean, like, when I worked on the 24, well before being a crew chief, I was just a tire specialist. Indy, Darlington, Pocono, that paint scheme, man, that thing would fly with that Jarrett behind the wheel.
It was very fast, and I grew up going to South Boston Speedway and watching Ray Hendricks with that paint scheme with the flame and the 11. I grew up watching that paint scheme, and as an adult, I grew up chasing this one.
Well, and the fact that Robert Yates was there for this unveiling, I think, made it even more special. Doug and Robert went over there and unveiled this paint scheme. They also got Daytona 500 championship rings. And now I know Doug and Robert personally, and that race is the mecca for what they do, for the engine building. So the fact that Doug and Robert were both being able to be there, and, you know, Robert currently has a battle going with cancer. We wish him the best. He's a great guy going into the Hall of Fame, done a lot in sports, so it's great to see him at that unveiling and just great to see him out and about.
Such a pioneer in this sport. He has helped evolve the sport to where it is today. The horsepower that he's been able to create as a team owner, as well as he's probably better known now as being an engine builder. But what a contribution to this sport he has made.
All right, so the qualifying runs continue. So Truex has been out. He's second fastest. Ryan Newman, this is his first lap, moves him up to 11th fastest. Everybody's still been right on the bottom of the racetrack. As Ryan Newman's coming to get his second lap in. Kyle Larson, he's rolling around, getting ready to start his Q run.
You never know when you go early how your lap's going to be, and that lap by Ryan Blaney is more and more impressive as we see more cars kind of take a shot at it. And he's first on the board by over a 10th. So
yeah, Newman moved up to third on his second lap.
This will be a test. I love the short track racing. You can almost watch the left front tire, and it just, big movement right there, and you just see how they're working the steering wheel just by watching that left front tire.
So even with all that movement, that moved Kyle Larson to second. So you saw how much he was having to respond to what the car was doing. A lot of right wheel input, but still went to second fastest. I have a feeling this one's going to go to P1. And I would be wrong.
He was all of 13 one-thousandths of a second slower on that lap.
But he's going to run a third, though. He's going to run a third, so something he didn't like or thought he could do better, perhaps.
Slower yet.
Parker.
Hey, Jeff, you just mentioned how close he was on that second lap. You thought it was faster. What were we just discussing the other day when we were talking about you don't look for tenths here. It's not even half a tenth. It's hundredths of a second, and that's the difference between getting to P1 or P2. And when you're, as a driver, when you're in the car, that is so hard to feel, right?
I think that's the challenge for drivers here is when you're off, say you're 14th, and you need to be in the top 12. Well, a lot of places that means you got to go find 2/10. Well, here it's thousandths. And if you go try to find too much, it's not going to be there. You have to go find that little bit of speed. Little small changes can make a big difference in speed, and that's the difference here at this size of a racetrack versus somewhere like we were last week in Michigan.
So that's not what Clint Boyer sees, by the way. There's a iris on the camera that is allowing a little bit too much light in right now. There we go.
He blinked.
What an incredible view, though, for the Ford Performance on board.
It almost looks like two grooves. It almost looks like you can see where the left front tire is, the left side tires, and the right side tires. Look at that.
Yeah.
It probably is. I mean, that's probably what that is. It's just the rubber building up on that compound.
At the start of the day, they actually scraped the rubber off of the track and then reapplied the PJ1 onto the track. So now, again, you guys have both mentioned the fact that there's so much rubber buildup in that area that it'll have to be scraped again tomorrow morning, and they'll reapply the PJ1.
And that was a Q run that we were riding along with Clint Boyer. That moved him up to fourth. Jamie McMurray, he's currently making a Q run, and he's up to second.
Here's Kenson. And Kenson currently 8th quickest.
I love that helmet cam to show what exactly the driver is looking at, but no camera, in my opinion, shows speed better than this camera right here on the front bumper of Matt Kenseth's Toyota. just so close to the racetrack. You want to talk about that rubber we were talking about earlier in the build-up, and you talked about the grooves? Well, look at it. There it is, that black strip of rubber on the racetrack right in that compound as he kind of works and tries to find a way. First, he has to catch the 22. Then he's going to try to find a way around the 22.
Steve, and the thing about that is it may look like strips of rubber, but that isn't strips, it's clumps, and it becomes like speed bumps, just tons, hundreds of little tiny speed bumps that you run over and you get that bouncing effect. And I know you've heard drivers talk about having, basketballs for tires. That's what that does, and I feel like that PJ1 track bike just makes it even worse because it clumps up in such small portions, and it looks like a strip, but it just isn't. Marty?
And Parker, I'll tell you, the sense of urgency jumped up quickly down here, starting to sprinkle. So a lot of teams who are almost done switching over to qualifying trim, trying to get out onto the racetrack if they can get this final Q run in here. But it's starting to sprinkle down here, guys. So the race against the rain is what's happening now in this practice session.
Jeff, another thing this camera shows very, very well is that rear bumper of the 22. You see it kind of come up on the straightaways and then squashes down into the banking in the middle of a corner. And then as he exits off, you'll see the load goes away and the car kind of stands back up. I mean, when you talk about this much banking, that's what it does.
And these cars, these two teams, they're committed to staying in race trim. We just heard Marty say the intensity level to get a Q run in right now is very high because of rain coming. Well, these two are obviously on long runs trying to make their race cars better. Joey Logano is down in 20th. He's run 42 laps. Matt Kenseth is in 8th. He's run 70 laps. So a long time on the racetrack for Matt Kenseth.
Well, so we talk about the craziness and the chaos of Thunder Valley, and there's nowhere to hide. That exists at every racetrack. Matt Kenseth last week had put himself in position, restarting in the 3rd spot on the last restart. He gets a great start, Jeff, inside the 77 of Eric Jones, but then he has an issue and just starts to free fall through the field. And you did the math. That was, 20 or 21 points in 2 laps.
In 2 laps. And, I talked to Matt on Monday after the race. He said he got in the corner and he just lost all the air. Then Chase Elliott got into the back of him. He was having to push to stay, to keep going, and ended up getting in the wall, cut a tire. It all went downhill quickly. And he blamed it on me interviewing him before that. I didn't think that was.
As long as I didn't get the blame, I'd like it.
I blame it on that producer.
31 points above the cutoff line is Matt Kenseth. 31 behind, of course, is Clint Boyer.
See a little water drops on the windshield, on the screen there?
And you see the scales and the jack stands, and I know this seems simple, Jeff, but guys, what makes this even more chaotic? There's no garages. Right. The chaos started this morning when the back doors opened on the trucks. Basically, you have one day. For a couple of practices and qualifying, you have to sun up out on pit road. It's pure chaos. I mean, you look how tight pit road is. These teams are accustomed to working in a garage area.
And the noise. Oh. And we just talked about Poland, right? And I was like, it's so loud. And all these teams are having to work with this noise. And you cannot communicate. You cannot... You have to push the button. You can't just look at somebody and say, hey, do this. It's harder to do that than what you normally do. And it takes longer to get things done in this situation.
So as we were talking about this garage, we showed the 77 on the racetrack. He's back there running the high line, as you mentioned, Jeff. And he also, it's a good feeling, as I say, that he runs the bottom. So that, that's about normally how it happens. But he gets his crew chief back this week, which has to be a good sense for the 77 to have a little more comfort, a little more consistency on top of the pit box. He has Chris Gale back on top of the pit box, but they're vocal. They're serious about being aggressive. They know when you look at that playoff picture where they're at in points, it's a win. A win is the only chance for this 77 to make the postseason.
And this team, Eric Jones, they had a real opportunity to get their first win last week. He put himself in position at a fast race car. Certainly Truex was just a little bit quicker, but they were right there with the situation falling a little bit differently. This team and Eric Jones had a chance to get their first win.
So, we always talk about teammates. We see each other work, teammates working with each other on the restarts. I hate it. I'm fine with working each other in traffic. Don't love to see it on the restarts. Well, last week, Martin Truex Jr. was asked. He won that race, or looked like he was going to win that race with the 77 run behind him. And he was asked in the media center, would you ever help a teammate win a race?
Martin, obviously from the way you restarted, it didn't look like you cared very much that Eric really couldn't have used a win for the playoffs.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, it means that
we don't have team orders. Nobody lets each other win. I mean, he's going to win some races. His turn will come.
My question is would any thought of letting him win not come across you because of the way you race?
No,
or
it doesn't. That's not how we race, Bob. Nobody out there races that way. Nobody's going to give a cup win up. They're too hard to get.
Does the fact that 5 playoff points also are involved, does that matter?
Absolutely.
And that also takes me back to NASCAR America on Wednesday when you guys had Ryan Newman at the Hall of Fame. And Ryan Newman said, I'm not out there to let somebody pass me. I'm not going to put my hand out the window and say, go on by, you're faster than I am. We're racing. I'm not going to give up one spot, is what Ryan Newman said on NASCAR America. And I said, okay, well, hearing that from Martin Truex Jr. is so welcoming. You don't want to hear ever that somebody said, you know what, I'll move over because you need a win.
And not just what he said, but how he said it.
Right.
Bob Parkhurst couldn't even get his question out. He'd come up, no. And he had the disgusted look on his face like, how dare you even question my intent? I was here to win the race.
Yeah, and Bob got to the point where he knew he didn't want to ask the question anymore, but he had to. But listen, that's 100% right. I mean, what's even the conversation? I mean, I can't even believe there's a conversation that you would let someone win. I mean, I can get letting someone lead a lap. I understand all that, but to let someone win and take a win, if that ever happens in our sport, we have a major problem. That's not what this sport is about. That's not what it's ever been about, and it cannot be about that. It has to be about competition for you, your team, and your card number. It can't be about the company. The well-being of the overall company cannot overweigh what being a race car driver, being a crew chief, being a mechanic, being a sponsor on a particular team means. The meaning of that is go win and go do what you have to do. Anything less than that is not NASCAR racing.
Go win is exactly what Joey Logano has been able to do when it's a night race at Bristol. He has had great success at this racetrack. As we were just looking at him, he's currently 20th on the speed chart, but you go all the way back to August 2014, and sliding across the finish line was Joey Logano getting that win. And then in 2015, it was once again Joey Logano with the win. Now last year was supposed to be a night race. It ended up being a day race because it got rained out. And so he has won the last 2 night races at Bristol. Can he make it 3 in a row?
Well, he's going to need to make it 3 in a row. I mean, you can see when you look at the bubble drivers, it's really Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano have to be the favorites just because of their past performances here at this racetrack. But it just hasn't seemed to work from 22 since Richmond. I mean, his numbers since Richmond have just way down, and it's not just speed, it's uncharacteristic mistakes. So this is a track that if you make a mistake, it reaches out and bites you.
You mentioned Richmond. That was where Logano was able to win, but that win was encumbered. You see Blaney still fastest in final practice.